All right, today what we're going to do is we're going to learn how to find square roots of larger numbers. And by the way, I know about 5 ways to find square roots of larger numbers. Okay, by far the fastest and easiest way is with a calculator. But I'm going to tell you right now, do not use a calculator to do your homework tonight. Now the truth is, as far as me checking it, I have no way to check it because I can't tell whether you use a calculator or not, because when you send back your homework, I only want you to send back your answers. But when you come back to school, hopefully in early April, hopefully, okay, we will, I will make you turn in the homework. And if you don't have the right work, you're going to get a 0 on it. Every year, I say this to the class, and every year someone gets a 0 because they cheat and they use their calculator, all right? And again, I don't want you to use your calculator. You say, but why not if that's the fastest, easiest way? And I say, because when you go to high school, you might have a teacher that lets you use a calculator, you might not. Last year I was tutoring Ethan Bauer, and when he was doing this in his Algebra 1 class, I asked him, did his teacher let him use a calculator? And he said, for some things she does, but for some things she doesn't. And finding the square root of a large number was one of the things she didn't do it for. Okay? So it is important that you learn another way other than the calculator. And I'm going to share with you in the next 2 videos 2 different ways. By the way I'm going to show you right now requires you use guess and check. It's not the best way, it's not the fastest way, but it's a good way to practice the idea of guess and check, okay? Because the more you do guess and check, the better you get with it. And guess and check is an excellent way to solve a problem when you know what you're looking for, but you don't want to know what it is. And you say to me, Mr. Adu, that makes no sense. If I know what I'm looking for, then I know what it is. No, you don't. For example, if I wanted the square root of 4,096, if I know what square roots mean, I know I'm looking for a number times itself that equals 4,096, but I don't know what that number is. So I have to take a guess. By the way, the first guess that some people usually make if they're totally blind, and I say guess, they freeze and they're too afraid to make a guess. But when they make one, some people choose something like 2003. Okay, actually I guess it would be 2048, because they think that what they're going to do is cut it in half, because they think a number times itself is like doubling the number. But a number times itself is not doubling a number. A number times itself is way bigger than that. A number plus itself is doubling the number. Anyway, when I multiply 2048 times 2048, 8 times 8 is 64, carry you 6. 8 times 4 is 32, and 6 is 38, carry you 3. 8 times 0 is 0, and 3 is 3. And 8 times 2 is 16. And whoa, all I did was multiply by the 8, and I'm already way too big. So I know that 2048 was not a good guess. All right? So then I have to take another guess. And you think for a minute, and you say 248. And again, 248 times 248, 8 times 8 is 64, carry you 6. 8 times 4 is 32, and 6 is 38, carry you 3. 8 times 2 is 16, and 3 is 19. Put a 0 here. 4 times 8 is 32, carry you 3. 4 times 4 is 16, and 3 is 19, carry you 2. 4 times 2 is 8, and 2 is 10. 2 times 8 is 16, carry you 1. 2 times 4 is 8, and 1 is 9. And 2 times 2 is 4. And when I add, I get a 4, and then I get 10, carry you 1, 10, 19, and 6 is 25, carry you 2, 2 and 1 is 3, and 9 is 12, carry you 1, 62,504. Well, that's still way, way, way too big. So you might say, okay, well, I'll cut that in half, and I'll try 124. and then 124 times 124, 16 carry your 1, 8 and 1 is 9, and then 4 times 1 is 4, put a 0 here, 2 times 4 is 8, 2 times 2 is 4, no carryover, and 2 times 1 is 2. Put 2 zeros here, 1 times 4 is 4, 1 times 2 is 2, 1 times 1 is 1. And when I add 17 carry your 1, that's 5, 9, 13 carry your 1, and I get 15,000. And it's still way too big. All right, so I say, okay, I'll cut that in half and try 62. And 62 times 62, 2 times 2 is 4, 2 times 6 is 12. Put a 0 here. 6 times 2 is 12, carry your 1. 6 times 6 is 36, and 1 is 37. 4, 4, 8, 3. Now, I'm too small, but I'm very close, comparatively speaking. So now I'm in the right area, but I'm too small. So say, okay, well, let's try 68. And 68 times 68, 8 times 8 is 64, carry your 6. 8 times 6 is 48, and 6 is 54. Put a 0 here. 6 times 8 is 48, carry your 4. 6 times 6 is 36, and 4 is 40. And again, 4, and then 12, carry your 1. 6, 4. And again, now I'm too big. And you say, this is never going to end. But look, now you've narrowed it down. 62 was a little too small. 64 was a little too big. So 68 rather was a little too big. So what's in between 62 and 64 was probably 65. And then 65 times 65, 25 carry your 2, 32. 6 times 5 is 30, carry your 3. 6 times 6 is 36, and 3 is 39. 5, 2, 12, carry your 1, 4. It's still too big, okay? But now you're very close. You're only like about 100 away. So try 64 times 64, and 4 times 4 is 16, carry your 1. 4 times 6 is 24, and 1 is 25. 6 times 4 is 24, carry your 2. 6 times 6 is 36, and 2 is 38. 6, 5 and 4 is 9. 8 and 2 is 10. 1 and 3 is 4. Ding, ding, ding. I found my answer of 64. And again, it took me a while, and it took me a lot of guesses. Let's see, I started with 2,048. That was too big. 248, that was too big. 124, that was too big. 62 was too small. 68 was too big. 65 was too big. And finally, I got it at 64. So it took me 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 bad guesses before I finally got to the right guess with the 70. By the way, most people, when they blindly guess, can usually get it somewhere between 4 and 6 guesses. So this was kind of bad, but that first guess was way, way off. All right. But anyway, you say, so every time I got to guess 6 times to get the right answer? Well, that depends on how good a